Sitting in the HCH1 with the OBDIIC&C device plugged in. I've just been on a test run up the road and I can confirm with the code that I've posted this morning the state of charge resetting to high and low works correctly, and the car is actually turned on at the minute, and if I zoom in you'll see it's at about 19 bars there. And if I operate the state of charge and set it to low, pressing it left, a couple of beeps. Now the state of charge is set to left, but as I mentioned before, the actual OEM gauge does not follow that setting for some time. You have to actually be driving the car and using assist and or regen for the bars to start ticking down. So you can't see that you actually changed the state of charge by just looking at the OEM display. We go back to the OBDIIC&C, you can still see the state of charge is 40%, and if I put it back up to 70% or 75% now by clicking the button right, and obviously there won't be any change here at all until you were driving along. So if the state of charge gauge had been low and we'd set it high, it wouldn't have shown that immediately. It only shows the change in the state of charge on the OEM gauge when you're driving along and when you're using some assist or regen. Only then does it tick up and down to match what the actual MCM recorded state of charge is. When I was driving along just now, I can confirm that as I was clicking the button left and right to set the state of charge high and low, forced regen would come in as soon as I set it low on the OBDIIC&C, even though the OEM gauge was still showing 18 or 19 bars, which was a clear indication that the setting had been accepted by the MCM, but it doesn't register on the gauge here for some time afterwards. Now I think that's partly in fact due to the fact that the gauge here is actually driven by the ECM and not like in the G1 Insight, which is driven by the MCM. This is driven by the ECM, and the information about the state of charge comes from the MCM to the ECM, and it doesn't get relayed to this gauge for some reason until the car is actually requesting, or the ECM is actually requesting assist or regeneration. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try Mike's state of charge reset device, and we'll see if that works correctly. I suspect it's probably working, but it's just difficult to tell that it's actually working correctly. It's just the way the HCH1 system operates.